The day he realized he was chasing the wrong goal, he didn't fail. He didn't fall behind. He simply woke up one day and felt empty. For years, success had been clearly defined. Earn more, advance faster, accumulate proof. In today's world, careers often reward visible progress over meaningful direction, and many people spend decades chasing goals they never consciously chose, assuming clarity will arrive later. To understand how he reached this realization, we have to go back to a career that looked impressive on paper. Strong roles, steady advancement, recognition from the right people. Each step confirmed he was doing what was expected, and expectation can be powerful enough to silence doubt. He worked hard and it showed. Promotions followed effort. Responsibility expanded. The metrics improved. From the outside, nothing was missing, but internally, something felt strangely unresolved. Achievements felt temporary. Satisfaction faded quickly. Each milestone raised a new target instead of offering relief. At first, he blamed fatigue, pressure, the normal weight of ambition. Everyone around him seemed to be doing the same thing, chasing the next benchmark, comparing trajectories, optimizing resumes. Questioning the goal itself felt unnecessary, even dangerous. Then came an ordinary moment, not a crisis, not a failure, just a quiet pause between tasks. He realized he was measuring progress obsessively, but never fulfillment, that the goal he was pursuing had been inherited, not examined, and that realization landed heavier than disappointment ever had, because for the first time, he wasn't asking how far he had come. He was asking why he was running at all. Once the question surfaced, it refused to stay contained. It followed him into meetings, conversations, and quiet moments. He began noticing how often his decisions were reactive, how frequently he said yes because it sounded impressive, how rarely he paused to ask whether the work itself still mattered to him. The goal kept him moving, but it no longer guided him. This awareness created tension. Nothing externally had changed, yet everything internally felt unstable. He was still performing well, still meeting expectations, but the motivation behind the effort fell hollow. Progress had become mechanical. Achievement had become routine. He tried to ignore it at first. Doubt, after all, is inconvenient, especially when things are going well. Questioning direction feels indulgent when success appears to be working. So he pushed forward, hoping momentum would silence the unease. It didn't. The more he advanced, the clearer the misalignment became. The goal demanded more time, more energy, more compromise, but offered less meaning in return. Each step forward widened the gap between who he was becoming and what the goal represented. He watched others celebrate milestones he once wanted desperately. Titles, compensation, recognition, and instead of envy, he felt distance. As if he were observing a race he no longer wanted to finish. The conflict deepened quietly. Leaving felt irrational. Staying felt dishonest. And redefining the goal meant confronting something uncomfortable, that he had invested years chasing a version of success that no longer fit, and maybe never truly had. The realization didn't bring relief. It brought responsibility. Because once you see the wrong goal clearly, continuing to chase it becomes a choice. And that choice would soon demand a decision far more difficult than working harder. It would demand change. The conflict intensified when he tried to imagine stopping. Not quitting, but recalibrating. He realized how much of his identity was tied to the goal itself. Introductions, self-worth, daily structure. The goal didn't just direct his career. It validated his existence inside it. Letting go felt like erasing proof that the effort had meant something. He explored alternatives cautiously, read stories of people who pivoted, took conversations outside his usual circle, asked questions he once avoided, but none of it produced immediate clarity, only more awareness of how deeply the wrong goal had shaped his decisions. The hardest part wasn't uncertainty. It was grief. Grief for the version of himself who believed the goal would deliver fulfillment. Grief for the years optimized towards something that now felt empty. Grief for the simplicity of wanting what everyone else wanted. He tried to adjust the goal instead of replacing it. Smaller milestones, healthier boundaries, different metrics. But the core problem remained unchanged. The goal itself no longer resonated, and no amount of optimization could fix misalignment at the foundation. Pressure mounted from every direction. Expectations didn't pause for introspection. Systems rewarded consistency, not honesty, and stepping off the track meant explaining a choice that sounded irrational to anyone still running. Yet staying came with its own cost. Every day spent chasing the wrong goal reinforced a future he didn't want to inhabit. The discomfort of change began outweighing the comfort of familiarity. And that shift marked the real turning point. Because fear didn't disappear. It changed direction. He stopped fearing failure. He started fearing success in the wrong life. And once that fear took hold, momentum lost its power. The only question left was not whether he could continue. It was whether he should. The change didn't happen overnight. It began with honesty. He didn't announce a pivot or abandon everything at once. He started by loosening his grip on the goal, evaluating opportunities differently, choosing alignment over acceleration. The pace slowed, but the clarity sharpened. Letting go of the wrong goal didn't erase his progress. It reclaimed it. He realized that effort isn't wasted just because direction changes. Skills transfer, perspective deepens, and experience, once misapplied, becomes valuable when redirected with intention. What felt like lost time became context. The success he once chased promised certainty. The success he redefined offered meaning. He stopped measuring days by advancement and started measuring them by engagement. The work felt lighter, not because it was easier, but because it was honest. For the first time, effort and identity moved in the same direction. His story reflects a quiet truth many encounter but few address. That chasing the wrong goal can look exactly like success, and that recognizing it early enough is not failure, it's courage, because the most dangerous thing isn't falling short, it's reaching the wrong destination. Sometimes the smallest shift in perspective becomes the beginning of a new future. What the wrong goal story also reveals is something about how goals acquire authority. A goal becomes authoritative not through conscious endorsement, but through accumulation. You take a first step in a direction. The step works. You take another. Someone notices and approves. You take a third, partly because it is a logical next step, and partly because approval feels good. By the time you have taken 100 steps in that direction, the direction has become your direction. Not because you chose it exactly, but because you kept going. And kept going has a way of becoming who you are. The man in this story did not choose the wrong goal in one decisive moment. He arrived at it through a long series of individually reasonable choices. Each promotion accepted because the next opportunity would be better. Each boundary declined to set because the moment was not quite right. Each signal of misalignment absorbed and explained away because the overall trajectory still looked good. No single step was obviously wrong. The direction was. And direction, unlike individual steps, is almost impossible to evaluate while you are inside it. To evaluate direction, you need distance. A pause long enough to step back from the momentum. To look at where you are heading, not just how quickly you are moving. That pause is what most high-performing people are worst at, because pausing feels like wasting, like falling behind, like giving advantage to everyone still running. And so the pause gets deferred, until it can no longer be, until momentum itself creates the pause, usually in the form of exhaustion or a missed milestone, or a quiet evening where the feeling of emptiness becomes too precise to ignore. He got his pause in an ordinary moment between tasks. That is where most genuine realizations arrive, not in crises, in the unscheduled spaces, the ones that high achievement tries to eliminate completely, which is why high achievement sometimes delays for years the clarity that would redirect it most usefully. The lesson is not that ambition is dangerous. Ambition without reflection is dangerous. The combination of high capacity, high effort, and infrequent reflection is exactly what produces a specific kind of success he found himself inhabiting. Impressive, well executed, quietly wrong. The people around him who celebrated his trajectory were not wrong to do so. The trajectory was admirable, but admirable trajectories can run in the wrong direction. And the only person positioned to know that is the person running it, which requires them to stop long enough to feel what they are actually feeling, not what the metrics say they should be feeling, what they actually feel. That honesty is the beginning of choosing differently. And choosing differently, when the wrong goal has accumulated years of momentum behind it, is the hardest and most necessary thing a person can do. Sometimes the smallest shift in perspective becomes the beginning of a new future. The day